Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome to a very special edition of the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and my guest returning today on a very special day, April 23rd, is Bo Polny. Bo, welcome back to the show.
Noah, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you for having me here. As I've said before, I love speaking with you. Thank you.
We love having you, and I know that because I read all of the comments every time you come on, and everyone loves Bo. And but you're back here on a special mission today. You have been talking about a special moment in time for over a year. Since back in May of last year, you started talking about this, and you said, watch out for the April 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th of 2021. And we are finally there. So we had to have you back on the show. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about kicking off this suddenly moment, this epic moment in time, as you've called it. And I think you brought a special thing with you today, I believe, right, Bo? Do you have a little something special with you?
Oh, yes. I ordered this from Israel.
Look at that.
That is the Lion of Judah, Jesus Christ.
That.
The Lion and the Lamb. So how beautiful is this?
Now that's a shofar. Bo, tell us why do you have this?
If you've listened to our prior interviews, we have mentioned numerous times about Leviticus 25:9, 10. Then you shall sound the trumpet, which is a shofar, on the 10th day of the 7th month. Well, from Rosh Hashanah, we go 7 months, 10 days, and we land on today, April 23rd. Okay. So April 23rd, biblically, right here, right now, today, is supposed to be a very important time point for things that are about to happen. So Leviticus 25:9, 10 says, sound the trumpet on the 10th day of the 7th month, which is today. These slides we have had up for months, and we're here today to state the fact that today is the 23rd, and today is supposed to be a starting point. But even a more important starting point is the date that I've talked about since last May, Noah, is the 26th of April, which is this coming Monday. I believe maybe the shofar is the trumpet is sounding the point in time which everything begins to change. I believe this coming Monday is supposed to be an incredibly powerful and important day. So we'll, again, know soon enough what, if anything, transpires. But we are waiting for the movement of God's hand for incredible and biblical changes that are about to take place on this earth. So I'm excited, Noah, to be here to talk to you and your viewers. All I know is that everything that I've calculated over time, we are officially now here this weekend, beginning as early as today into this weekend and into Monday. So what happens, I don't know, but I can tell you, and looking at my charts, that something really important, something really biblical, and when I see biblical, I truly mean biblical, where God actually moves and does something to this world to change the course of history. So we're here.
Yes, we are. And Bo, biblical, we've talked about that before, and we've talked about how this could never have been something that President Trump just did on his own because he's brilliant. It could never have been something that the Supreme Court did or Congress did or even the military did. This is a moment that God wants all the glory. Isn't that right?
That's what it's all about. Think about this, Noah. So in the time of Pharaoh, please think about this for a minute. So you had, at the time of Pharaoh, right after Passover ended, you had all of Egypt's firstborn, including animals, dead. So my question to you is, how do you think Pharaoh could explain that?
Mm-hmm.
It's not possible. Mm-hmm. If all of Pharaoh's or Egypt's firstborn dies on a specific day, the only explanation for that would be God.
Wow. I've never actually thought about it that way. That's
right?
Really interesting.
Like how else? That's why at the end of the story, With Pharaoh, what were his words to Moses, or to his wife actually? His God, meaning Moses' God, is God.
Mm.
Because he couldn't explain what happened. It was not possible. How could you explain the death of all the firstborn and animals on a specific night?
Mm. Right.
So
Well,
that's what's coming. We're going to have something like that. That's unexplainable. It is inexplainable, unexplainable, but they will not be able to explain what happened. And that's supposed to come here next week, this weekend, next week, into May, early May, somewhere, something like that's supposed to go down, and they won't be able to explain it. Something so dramatic, so crazy that you can't explain it. And then the only explanation would be there is a God.
Wow. Bo, I want to jump back up here. You've added some new slides to your presentation that I thought were really fascinating, and they tie into what you're talking about. So I'm jumping back up here to the beginning. And by the way, anybody, if these slides are Bo does an amazing job with these slides. We post them at the below the video, wherever you're watching this. If you're watching it on YouTube or on Rumble, we're going to post the slides below it, and you can get these for free and read them yourself. There's a lot in here, and we go through them pretty quick on the interview. But Bo, I want to jump back up to slide 3 and talk about this. When we talk about an epic moment in time coming, you have to understand the history of what we're talking about. And you started talking about Egypt, and we're talking about some of the ancient, even Greek mythology and the ancient gods like Zeus and all of those things. And what's funny is, for a long time, Bo, I always kind of thought of those as, it's just mythology, or they just, they didn't have TV back then, so they had to come up with some great stories to entertain themselves and everything. But when you really dig into it, you start to realize these might not have been just stories they told each other. In fact, they have a real basis in the Bible, don't they?
Well, mythology, once you start studying and you'll look at what I'm posting here and showing you, mythology, the better word for it, and the precise word for mythology is history. It's historic. It's not a myth. It's what happened. All of this happened. So, you understand, like people like Zeus, and these were all characters of history. That's what it is. And if you understand, if you go over to page 5, I believe it was, this is what everybody's hiding. This is what the fallen ones are hiding. They're hiding the fact that they're fallen, that they're losers. They were kicked out of heaven and they're fallen. They are not the chosen ones. They're the fallen ones. They were thrown out of heaven because their leader, Lucifer at the time, who's now called Satan, was thrown out of heaven with a third of the angels. And that's talked about specifically in Genesis 6. It talks about the fallen ones, the sons of God, who then married the daughters of men, had children with the daughters of men. And then what ends up happening when angels have children with daughters of men, you get what's called something new. In this case, they were giants, because it was extremely different DNA, which is basic DNA of God, of fallen angels, of gods. Because to us, to humans, these were gods. They're from heaven. They're mating with women and causing giants, and then they have to hide the fact that there are giants and were giants on this earth. Because if you disclose the fact that there were giants on this earth, you disclose the fact, and you come to realize one simple point: the Bible's real. And Satan was thrown out of heaven with his angels, the third of them that basically wanted to follow him. And so that's the story in a nutshell. And so they're hiding it from you. But what happened was, with the flood, because that was the reason for the flood, God had to destroy these things. Okay. They all died. But what was left? The spirits, Noah. And the spirits are still lingering on this earth, and these spirits now you can see all over where they've basically compromised, or they've, the people of Washington have accepted them, and people throughout the entire world that run this, globalist system have accepted these spirits, and they're basically demon possessed or Nephilim possessed. And that's what's going on right now, in the world. And we're about to see the hand of God, just like God broke open the earth. And before all that happened, he told Noah to build an ark, and people laughed at him for generations. I think it took 60 or 70 years for him to build that ark. He was laughed at until the first raindrop fell and the ground broke open and water shot up. Okay, well, that was a hand of God that caused that. And the reason God did that was because of the Nephilim. He had to destroy them. They were a hybrid. And so what's happening right now is we're seeing this insanity, this evil manifest all over the world. And we're about to see, just like in the time of Noah's Ark, we're about to see the hand of God put all of this to a stop, put the brakes on all of what's going on.
Bo, that's amazing. Let me jump in there for a minute, because I know some people listening to this, probably a lot of people listening to this, know what you just talked about. They understand what's on that screen there. Other people are probably looking at that going, these guys have lost it. This is totally off the rails. But it's really not. And you've got the citation on there. If you've ever sat down and you said, I'm just going to sit down and read the Bible, you go along and it's going fine, and you're in Genesis 1, 2, 3, God's making the world and the animals show up and the people show up and all this stuff. And then it doesn't take too long. You get to Genesis 6 and it's like, what just happened? Because all of a sudden you're talking about the sons of God mating with the daughters of men. And then it says then that created these Nephilim, and then it created these mighty men, the men of renown and who are the mighty men and the men of renown? It's these people from all the mythologies. It's the Zeus, it's the whatever. And then, Bo, when you read all the rest of the Old Testament, when you don't have this background, a lot of it doesn't make sense, because they're talking about giants throughout the Old Testament. And maybe you're thinking, well, someone like, Shaq, he's big, he's 7 foot tall. That's not what they're talking about. These things were 20 feet tall, 30 feet tall. Og of Bashan was 18 feet tall. And that's right in the Bible. All this stuff is right in the Bible. This is not out of anything else. This is all in there. And you realize, and even David, when he's going up against, who did David fight? Goliath, right? He fought a giant.
That's right.
These were literal giants. They were not just tall people. They were a hybrid, like you said. And isn't it funny, in our world today, we see hybrid everywhere. Hybrid cars, hybrid this, hybrid foods.
And, you go to the cartoons, or actually the huge thing that's been in the theaters for years now is all of the X-Men and all that, all of these hybrid people that are all over and there's such a huge thing with the kids, they love that stuff. They make it such fun to watch.
Yep. X-Men
everywhere. Yes, everywhere. That's what's been going on. And then you mentioned David and Goliath, right? So that's a simple thing that's going on right now. It's a simple analogy. You've literally got these giants, but they're spirits. They're not the physical form of the time of Noah. Okay, They are spirit form, have possessed man. Who went against them? It's the name of your channel.
Right.
Yeah. He went against them, and what do? They kicked him out, just like David was run out by Saul. Okay. Yep. But then in the end, Saul dies and David returns. Okay. Same thing. You've got David. All he did was throw a rock. And the giant died. Okay. The rock in this case you will end up seeing the rock that David threw will represent, this year will be representative of gold and also therefore silver. That rock that David threw a few thousand years ago will represent gold and silver today. And that will destroy these people. And because Goliath that David fought then, the Goliath now is the financial system.
Yes, it is. That's right.
And that the financial system is what they use throughout the world to control humanity.
To control. That's right. Bo, let me say one more thing before we move off of this, because I think it's important, and I think someone needs to hear it. When you talk about the giants, and if anyone out there saying, well, this doesn't make any sense to me. Number one, check these slides and check your Bible and you read it. It's in there. But it also, and I think this is so important, and all credit to a guy named Rob Skiba. If anyone's listening to this and you want more on this topic, just go online and search for Rob Skiba. He has some incredible research, and so I want to give him credit for this line. But he said, when you read your Bible, you read the Old Testament, and one of the biggest hangups for people when they read that is they say, well, this God, he's just wiping everybody out. He tells them, go in and wipe when you win a war, wipe everyone out, kill the women, kill the children, kill all the animals. And they're like, and people say, well, that doesn't sound very nice. That doesn't sound very good. Well, when you have this background, suddenly a lot of dots start to connect, because what's happening is he was wiping out this hybrid bloodline. This bloodline that you've got on this screen right here, where all these people just happen to be all connected, and not by like fifth cousins, like they're closely connected. But so then when you realize it was these hybrid tainted bloodlines that were running throughout, and the reason why God was getting rid of all those different tribes, the Anakim, the Raphaim, all of those tribes, they had the tainted bloodline, and we're still dealing with it today because they didn't get it done back then. Bo, I just wanted to put that out there for anyone listening. I think that connects a lot of dots, and amazing stuff. And so that's what, people say, oh, the enemy is the Democrats. Oh, the enemy is the Republicans. No, the enemy is what's on your screen right here in Bo's slide number 6. This is what has been going on behind the scenes for literally not just decades, centuries, for 2,000 years. So Bo,
right.
That's
and
our
then
history.
That takes us, if you want to scroll up, that takes us over to just go to page 3 for a second.
You take it from here, Bo.
Right. And then that's what we're looking at. They're trying to bring on the Great Reset, which is, what is a Great Reset? Let's take away all your money. Let's destroy everything, give everybody shots, and, let's kill off 90% of humanity. You don't believe me? Go look at the Georgia Guidestones. What's the first thing they wrote on there? Maintain population at 500 million.
Yeah.
Million. Can you please do the math for me on that one? Because isn't the population like 7 or 8 billion right now? Which means you'd have to kill off 7 billion people. And this is not made up. Georgia Guidestones. Go Google it. Look at line number 1. Okay. So they're trying to bring on their agenda, the reset, which is basically complete control. What they're trying to avoid is the awakening. But the awakening only happens one way, and that's God. The awakening can be compared to God cracking the earth open and the first drop of rain in the time of Noah's Ark.
And that's the time we're at now. So, Bo, let me jump down your presentation then, because I want you to talk about, here we are, April 23rd. What are we looking at this week and into next week?
All I can tell you is that we have layers upon layers of biblical cycles that are piled in and tightened down to about 3 days where something could happen. Will it? I don't know. But biblically based on the Noah's Ark cycle, we had oil go to 0 on the 20th, 21st of last year. And then 40 days later, we had Pentecost, another feast date. Then after that, we had another feast date, which was Rosh Hashanah, which is the day of the death of Ginsburg. Okay. And then so the next time point is 220 days, which is this Monday, the 26th. And it happens to be a feast date, whether it ends up being the first feast date or whether it ends up being the second feast date. The bottom line is it is a feast date. So that lines up perfectly based on a biblical cycle. So something as early as Monday, and this is the date that I have talked about with Greg Hunter, with yourself, but this is going back to this date being referenced based on the mathematical calculations of the Bible that I referenced last year. The date, the key critical date is the 26th Monday, this coming Monday. That's on page 27. So there you go. If this is end up being the first Passover, which I truly believe it is, okay, because based on the Enoch calendar we spoke about last time, the Enoch calendar based on the full moon cycles, if you do the math on it, it actually indicates that the 25th would be the start of Passover and the 26th, Monday, would be the end of Passover. We're sitting at a point where something big's supposed to happen early next week or start. And then following that time point, we head all the way into May Now, if it ends up being the first Passover, we want to scroll in that case to page 26. Well, Pharaoh released Israel, Moses, the day after Passover, so that would equate to the 27th. 27th, 20 days they wandered in the wilderness to get to the Red Sea, and the Red Sea closed. That 20-day mark would be May 17th. So this is not pushing dates. This is simply saying if the real Passover isn't the Passover that the world celebrated of first week of April, if the real Passover is based on the Enoch calendar, then that would take 20 days, take us in the middle of May. But that still does not change the fact that April 26th, Monday, is supposed to be a key pivotal time point between the old world, which is basically almost at an end, and the new world, which is supposed to begin here next week. So
yeah, very good.
When I say world, it means an era in time. There's supposed to be some delineation between the two worlds, and it could be as early as this coming Monday. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. From a time point, it's a very exciting time point to be living in. And then if we backstep that to a couple slides earlier, that's what we talk about, the Leviticus 25, 9, 10, and that takes us here to the shofar. Because the 10th day of the 7th month is today, and you're supposed to sound the shofar. So I've been practicing all morning. I'm going to do it right now for you, Noah, and your viewers. Let's give this a go.
Wait a minute. We got to go to full screen for this one. Hang on. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay, let's give it a go here. There we go.
Hey, there it was. that
was not easy.
That is not easy. That is a lot harder than it even looks. Nice job, Bo.
So there we go. We are officially entering in an incredibly powerful biblical time era these next few days into next week, into the first week of May. So we wait and we watch what happens, but I am excited to see what God has in store. Like I said, Noah, you have to think about this, right? When all of the firstborn of Egypt died, including the animals, you couldn't explain it.
No.
The only explanation was it was by the hand of God.
Get out, Nephilim. It's time for you to scream. As Moses raised up his staff to part the Red Sea, it's time for Esther to now make her plea for you and for me to set the captives free. America, America, God sent his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Father, we declare this day and this hour for your power come down upon the earth for the new birth. And we declare it in your presence for the Nephilim to refrain from this takeover in America and to be thwarted in their existence with all their resistance. We rebuke you now in Yeshua's name, and America will never again be the same. And the blessings will fall upon this land from sea to sea and sand to sand, for all to understand the power of our God, not the power of the mob. The freedom bell rings, God's people sing, and the light of America will reach the world as demons go up in a swirl. Time to raise the staff as the Father laughs, and those who walked in will no longer have the grin. We win. Father, there's nothing to it but to do it, and we believe with all that we are, we will not be ignored. We shouted from the rooftop, Nephilim, it's time to stop. In Yeshua's name, you're done with your sick game. Time to refrain from all your disdain. No need to explain. You're done. In Jesus' name. Thank you, Father. Time to collapse the almighty dollar and take back what was stolen. We are truly, Father, beholden. We love you, Lord.
So
that's awesome.
We should expect something like that, Noah. I don't know what's coming, but I know it's hidden in a secret, and it's God's secret that he is planning on revealing upon the earth.
Well, there we go, everybody. Question answered. If everybody that's asking me, is Bo still standing by his dates? Is this still the moment in time we're looking at? He just sounded the trumpet live on our show. So it is official. I don't know how you can get any better than that. He's sticking by it. Today is the kickoff. Today is the 23rd, April 23rd. We're looking at the 26th, the 25th, and then following for a new era of time. So, Bo, that was awesome. We've got a few minutes left here. Let's talk about a new world. When you go into step into the new world, it's going to look different. A lot of that is the financial system. A lot of times people say, well, why are you guys talking about gold and silver or cryptocurrencies? We're talking about it because that's where the new world is going. So you'd better be ready for it and you better be aware of it. And so, Bo, why don't you take us through a little bit of that? And then I've got a few questions from you. I asked people on Telegram to send me questions if they wanted a question to be asked to Bo. And I've got a handful of those for you at the end. So why don't you tell us what does this new world look like for gold, silver, and cryptocurrency?
When you go through the presentation that we've included here, so find the link, click the link, go through the presentation. You're going to get to page 15. Page 15 talks about the seals of Revelation. We talk about the third seal. The third seal, you see there's a black horse. What is he holding in his hands, Noah? Scales.
Yeah, scales.
Right? Yeah. The scales are representative of the financial system. Like in the past show we've talked about, right? Mm-hmm. Long time ago, there was just dollars. Then you get into thousands, 10,000s, and then you get into millions, billions, and trillions, right? Mm-hmm. In the 70s, a trillion wasn't a word. The point being is the financial scales are completely out of balance. It means the world is out of balance. Mm-hmm. The greatest financial event in human history is and will be the third seal of Revelation. The third seal is when God's hand will rebalance the financial system. Well, how do you rebalance the financial system? You take down their money, or in other words, you take their money that's worth, make it worth less. Get it? Yep. And what's on the other side of the scales? God's money, gold and silver. So gold and silver are going to explode vertical in this new era because the new monies of the new era will be gold and silver, God's money, okay? The globalists know at some point God is going to intervene, or I don't know, but for some reason they created crypto, right? And so cryptos, like gold and silver, are going to explode vertical, and we're seeing that already. It's just that the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies are running, are ahead of what gold and silver are about to do. But the point being is it's about the scales. It's the rebalancing of the financial system ends up being the greatest financial event in human history. Why the greatest in human history? Well, because God's involved. Let's just leave it at that. God's a multiplier God. And when he does things, he doesn't increase percentages, he multiplies. And like we've talked about before, Noah, damages are sevenfold. Blessings are 30, 60, or 100-fold. And I believe the blessings come after you've multiplied it by 7.
Yeah, excellent. Let me just work in a piece of a question here from somebody. So this is Michelle from our Telegram channel. Michelle says, question for Bo. If you have your money in stocks, do you put it in ETFs for silver, or how do you invest in silver through your stocks? Thank you.
Well, kids, that's a great question. Again, I don't want to give you financial advice, but please read what an ETF is, okay? And what you're going to very quickly find out that an ETF is not, NOT is not silver. It's a paper representation of silver. Yep. So if you feel comfortable holding a paper representation of silver, that is your choice. If you want to hold the real silver, that is also your choice. But people in life, where we're at is because people have chosen wisely and some have chosen poorly. Many have chosen poorly, and they're about to find out what happens when you go against God. But the point being is that do your homework. But if you want to hold silver, holding a paper representation of silver isn't silver.
Yeah, right. Good answer, Bo. Neither you nor I are financial advisors. We just talk about what we're doing. And as far as I'm concerned, I like to buy the physical silver. I like to hold it. Whether that's coins or bars. I can just tell you what I'm doing.
Paper silver and paper gold are not shiny.
There you go. Good. All right, Bo, one more since we're talking about this. This is Renata from Telegram. Renata says, hi, Noah. Everyone says that Bitcoin is the cabal's money. Can you ask Bo if that is true and why he's so sure Bitcoin is going up and not down? Thank you.
There's so much money that's printed, right? Remember we talked about thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, billions, and trillions, right? So they just keep, the money supply keeps expanding, okay? So in the long run, please remember these words. Anything created by man is to control man. Okay? So Bitcoins made by man ultimately will be used to control man. But we're in the early stages right now, okay? But we're in the early stages right now of it. And you have trillions of dollars that have been created. They have to go somewhere. They're not all going to go into gold and silver on the third scale rebalancing, as you're seeing right now with Bitcoin starting off, just a year ago or something at the 5,000 mark, or 10,000 last Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur time zone. And now it's in the 50s, so at 50. The point being is the money is going somewhere, and it's right now front running it into cryptocurrencies. But ultimately, those who only bought cryptocurrencies and did not buy precious metals at some point, not tomorrow, but at some point in life, are going to have a heck of a problem, because there's a thing coming in the Bible. It talks about it, the mark of the beast. Okay. You're going to need that to log in to get your cryptos. So, and this is not coming tomorrow. So no panic. Okay. But in several years out, that's coming. Okay. If you feel you're extraordinarily wealthy, you're going to have to ask yourself at some point in time, if you don't own any precious metals, how much you like the cryptocurrency. Do you like eternity better with God, or do you want to take the mark? Precious metal or God's money, they're not made to control man, because they're made by God.
Yeah,
so
very
God's
good.
God's money doesn't control you. It gives you, when God blesses you, he'll bless you. And then God's money is to be used to build his kingdom. In other words, to build the arks of safety.
Well,
now, we've talked about that as well too.
Yeah, we have. Well, so Renata, great question. And I guess the answer is, in the long run, you're right. In the long run, we're not saying to hold these forever. We're saying this is a moment in time, and there's value in them right now. But Bo has been very clear. Cryptocurrencies are not God's money. And your question was spot on. Let's talk about them, though. We are currently in a moment where you see cryptocurrencies continuing to go up. You have a newsletter about this, so I don't want to give away too much of what you cover in your newsletter, but you're always gracious to share your general thoughts when you come on the show. So when you first started coming on the show, Bitcoin was about $10,000. Now it's at about $50,000, and that's because it's had kind of a bad week. It was at $60,000. And you want to talk a little bit about, in light of that last question, where do you see it going from here? Are we about to crash, or are we about to take off?
Well, if you look at the chart in front of you, right? How many people have gone for a race sometimes? You go for a jog. You go for a jog, you run a mile or two or three, whatever you can do. And at the end of the mile or two, whatever your max is, what do? You stop.
Yep.
You take a break.
Yep. You
drink some water, you rest, you sit down for a little bit, you take a break in time. That's all Bitcoin did right now. It's taking a break for a few days.
Okay.
If you look at where it's at right now, it's no different than where it was on this chart that I made back on March 25th. It's back to where it was on March 25th. So Bitcoin took a break. Okay. But we've got one of the greatest time points in human history coming next week, and the greatest financial events, which are going to affect the dollar, which are going to cause the dollar to potentially drop very soon here. Well, look what happened when the dollar began to drop on Yom Kippur, the yellow bubble. Look what Bitcoin did.
Right.
Okay.
Look at
so
that.
Bitcoin's about to go for a second leg up, and the alternate coins are really going to perform. So they're going to be super exciting. Forget even Bitcoin. So, we've got a lot of excitement coming here. Or it's like the saying, looking at a gift horse in the mouth right now. Well, you basically had prices come back to where it was a month ago. Well, if you're interested, you might want to act on something.
Might be a good time to buy if you don't have enough that you want. So again, Bo's not a financial advisor. He is, and we didn't talk about this at the beginning, Bo, but you call yourself an analyst of time. So you look at the cycles of time, not just like we talked about the cycles in politics and history, but you look at the cycles of how these things move, and you started looking at precious metals, and then you started applying that to these cryptocurrencies, and they tend to move in a cycle. And I get your newsletter. You publish it not every day, but once every couple of days I get an update. You have been awfully spot on, and it's really fun to watch that. And it's fun when I get the alerts that say, watch out. Yeah, we're about to take off and enter some really exciting days. So always fun to get those, Bo. And you mentioned the altcoins. So alternate coins, for people that don't know, Bitcoin was the first. It's got the name recognition. It's the name everybody recognizes.
The grandfather.
The grandfather. And that's good because it's slow, and so it's grandfatherly. These alternate coins, these altcoins, some of them are on the screen now. I scrolled down to this slide so you can see them. But basically every coin other than Bitcoin, people will sometimes call it an alternate coin. But some of these things are really exciting. And you cover about 12 of these in your report. And I've talked in the past, there was one that you started talking about it when it was below a penny. And I was a little late to the game. I didn't end up getting it until it was about 6 cents. Well, it's been as high as 17 cents, and it is just on fire. And you've got some big things in mind for that one. And I'm not trying to be coy, but Bo does this work and people pay for it. And so I can't give away everything for free on the show. But if you'd like to get more of those details, Bo does publish his newsletter. Bo, tell them, where do they go and how do they get it?
Yeah, so my website's gold2020forecast.com. The newsletter, please understand, the newsletter is for people who are traders, who like to play swings. If people don't know much about cryptocurrencies, you don't want to start buying a newsletter. You don't even know how to buy cryptocurrencies, so that's important. But again, the newsletter is for people who are looking to play some swings. We don't get every single swing every single time. But I think our track record is rather incredible since last year. We've got coins that are up 12 to 15,000% since April of last year, which, per the newsletter, was like the critical entry point for all the coins. So many of the coins are up sizably, and the ones that are doing that well are going to continue to really explode this year yet. So this year is going to be very, very incredible because, again, we're living in a time point which is biblically supposed to be the third seal, the greatest financial event in human history. So it's going to be exciting what's coming here. We haven't even seen the big numbers yet, and they're coming because everyone's going to be migrating away from the current financial system into a new one. So so if you want details of what we do, go to my website, and the information's there.
I love it, Bo. I say it almost every time, but you've got to be the only person I know that tells people, you really don't need my product. Get it if you want it, but you don't need it. And I just love that.
The cycles have dates. That's what the cycles do. They're specifically date points. Markets in the past have turned. So it's exciting, but the point is, the direction itself. When I say, if you don't have any precious metals or cryptocurrencies, just if you get your hands on some, the financial system, when it shifts, it's back to what we talked about. It's David and the rock.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the rock is going to be gold that takes down Goliath, the financial system.
That's good. That's really good. Bo, I want to wrap up with an exciting announcement that you have, but I'm going to read a question that's going to lead into it because this is from Mandy L. She says, "Greetings, Noah. Hope all is well with you. I want to know if you could ask Bo what is the best place to buy cryptocurrency. There are so many to choose from, and I currently use Uphold. Is that a good place to use? Thank you to Bo for all he does." So, Mandy, thank you for your question. I just read one of those. There are probably hundreds that I get every time I have Bo on the show. People email and And I know there's some very sophisticated people in cryptocurrency that listen to these shows and get Bo's reports, and that's great. And then there are some people that have never bought a single cryptocurrency. They don't know how to do it. They don't know where to go. It's confusing. It's new. It seems really hard. And so, Bo, I want to let you answer that question, but I want to let you kind of make a very exciting announcement about what you have new this week.
Yeah, so we've got, like yourself, we get a lot of questions all the time about, how do you get involved in cryptocurrencies? And honestly, I haven't had the time. It's not one step. There's many steps. And after you've done like many steps, then your coins are still not secure. And so you got to like figure out how to secure your coins so they're safe. So there's like step upon step upon step. And basically it's like going to school. So my son is extremely good with computers and he's very knowledgeable. And so I actually asked him if he wanted to do it. And he goes, she's all over that. So, I helped him put together like a roadmap on how to do it with all the steps, but he basically took it from there. He created all the videos and on each step. So he's basically created a system where you can watch a video from where to start. There's a video for each single step and there's a PDF attached to it, but basically he walks you through everything. And it's all accurate because I've reviewed it. And in the end, it shows you how to end up storing your coins safely. So you're not worried about, some potentially, or it's at least as safe as possible formats of storing them. So his website's Easy Crypto School. And, I set it up so, people can get a discount as well too. It's use that code that we stuck in there. It's We Love Trump. So WLT 39, and it reduces it from $80 down to only $39. So we want to keep it cheap for everybody, for the viewers, so they can kind of get involved and know exactly, how to get involved. So we don't get all these questions all the time, because honestly, I can't answer them.
No.
I don't think you can either, Noah, because there's so many steps. That's what it is. It's not hard. There's just so many steps. And even if you think you've done everything right, you're still missing probably a couple steps.
I could not have said it better myself, Bo. That's great. I like what you said. It's not hard, but you need a roadmap, and it can be very intimidating if you don't have the roadmap. And if you have the instructions to follow, then you can do it. And here's the other thing. I know I have made my share of mistakes along the way, and I've done something wrong, and I've sent money to the wrong place or sent my cryptos to the wrong place. And sometimes then you lose them, and you can have some costly mistakes. And we don't want people listening to this interview to learn the hard way the way we did. So if we can help you avoid those costly mistakes, it might be very worthwhile. Actually, thanks to your son for putting that together. Tell him he did a great job.
I will. Thanks. Yeah, we've got a lot of comments so far that people really have loved it. It's been very, very helpful. So
that's awesome.
They've given them the steps. So I appreciate you having me here, Noah. And I don't know what to tell you, except it's just been so wild to watch what's been happening here in this world, Noah. We've been waiting for this point here, end of April into May. There's something huge happening. I think it is. I think something big's about to happen. And so next week, supposed to be rather incredible. So let's see what happens next week, beginning as early as Monday, and it could even be this weekend. So we'll see. But next week into the first part of May, that if it's the first Passover, it could take all the way to the 17th, so middle of May. But wow, all I can tell you is that the world will not continue on the path that it's on for one simple truth. They've come against God, and now God is going to intervene. So we wait and watch what God does.
That's great. Both, thank you for your time today. I said we were going to make this one a little shorter, and I just can't do it. Whenever we have you on, there's so much to talk about, and it's so interesting that we ended up going longer than we thought, but it was well worth it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for coming back on. We're going to watch, and I think the next time we have you on, it's going to be a wild one after we see some of these things unfold. So thank you very much, Bo. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Noah. God bless you. God bless your family and all your viewers. Thank you.